The movie opens in a facility where a biologist named Lena is in a containment cell speaking to men in hazmat suits while a large group of people are gathered outside listening in. Another man named Lomax is questioning Lena regarding a recent mission in which only she has returned. Lomax says she and her team were gone for months, which felt like days or weeks to Lena. She confirms 2 of her teammates are dead while the fates of the other 2 remain unknown to her. She has no idea what she just experienced. We see something soaring up in space before it makes its way to Earth's surface. It strikes a lighthouse and soon starts to emit a mysterious glow. 3 years after this event and sometime before her mission, Lena is working as a professor at Johns Hopkins University, teaching her class about a cancer cell that appears to multiply. It has been over a year since her husband Kane went on a mission and never returned. Her colleague Daniel invites her to a barbecue at his house that he's throwing with his wife, but Lena says she prefers to paint her bedroom. Daniel says it's not disrespectful to Kane's memory for her to spend time with others, but Lena still declines the invite. Lena is still hurt over Kane's disappearance. However, as she is painting, Kane appears in the house. Lena tearfully embraces him. He has little to no memory of where he was or how he got home. Kane takes a drink of water and says he is not feeling well, as evidenced by the blood in the water. Lena rides with him in an ambulance to the hospital, but en route, they are stopped by government agents who sedate and capture them. When Lena wakes up, she is in a government facility known as Area X. Dr. Ventris, a psychologist working for an organization called the Southern Reach, asks her about Kane's mission. Ventris informs Lena that Kane is also at the facility, but he is severely ill. Lena surmises the illness might be caused by radiation or a virus and offers to help Ventris find out what's wrong with him. Ventris shows Lena the Shimmer, a mysterious glowing zone, explaining that no one who ventured into it has returned. So far, the Shimmer has only affected sparsely populated swamplands, but it could expand to engulf cities and states. Kane is the only one to emerge from the Shimmer, but he is slowly dying from multiple organ failures. Ventris hints that Lena might not be allowed to go home due to her knowledge of their covert operations. Lena decides to stay with Kane. Later, a team of scientists introduces themselves to Lena, informing her they're scheduled to enter the Shimmer in a few days with Ventris. Unlike previous military expeditions, this team comprises 4 female scientists. Lena asks what they think happened to previous expeditions. Anya Thorensen, a paramedic from Chicago, suggests the explorers were either killed by something or went crazy and killed each other. Cass Shepard, a geomorphologist, mentions 1 military personnel returning from the zone. Lena remains silent, not revealing that her husband was the one who made it out. The next day, Lena tells Ventris she wants to join the team, omitting her connection to Kane to avoid complications. The 5 women enter the Shimmer but wake up in a camp with no recollection of the past few days. They deduce they've been inside for at least 3 days based on their remaining food supplies. Josie Radek, a physicist, notes their communication equipment can't send signals out, but other devices, like cameras, work fine. She checks the compass and finds it malfunctioning. They decide to head south, using the sun and their watches for navigation. Along the way, they encounter a hut covered with various flowers from different species, all growing from the same branch. Lena concludes the plant is constantly mutating. Suddenly, something grabs Radek and nearly pulls her underwater until Lena goes in to save her. They discover a mutated alligator emerging from the water. It crawls toward the team until Lena shoots it dead. They then inspect the inside of its mouth and find that the gator possesses shark teeth, suggesting that there may have been some kind of crossbreeding occurring within the Shimmer. In the interrogation room, Lena tells Lomax they saw other mutated animals on their way to the coast. Lomax suggests they might have been hallucinations, but Lena insists they all saw the same things. Using boats found near the hut, the team leaves the swamp. Lena and Shepard row together, discussing their pasts. Lena reveals she served in the army for 7 years and met Kane there. She lies, telling Shepard her husband was KIA. Shepard says they all joined the expedition to cope with personal problems. Anya is recovering from addiction. Josie might have attempted suicide, and no one knows much about Ventris, who seems to have no family or friends. Shepard lost her daughter to leukemia and hasn't been the same since. The group arrives at Fort Amaya, the Southern Reach's former headquarters, now part of the Shimmer. They see more mutated organisms on the walls, appearing malignant. Inside they find evidence of the previous expedition and a memory card, which they insert into Reddick's camera. The video shows Kane cutting open a teammate's stomach, revealing a worm-like organism. Thorensen concludes the previous team went crazy and killed each other, but Reddick thinks a creature was inside the man's stomach. In another part of the building, they see a corpse merged with a growing colony of fungi. Radek says she doesn't want to stay at the base any longer, but Ventris argues that they have no choice because it's getting dark outside. That night, Lena recalls how her husband departed abruptly for the covert operation, abandoning their plans to spend time together in the countryside. Unable to sleep, she examines the cell samples she gathered earlier and observes them splitting rapidly. She then goes to the outpost, where Ventris is keeping watch, to replace her. After discussing their plans for the next day, Lena asks the psychologist why her husband volunteered for the mission. Ventris suggests he must have joined because of a self-destructive instinct instinct, which she believes is coded into human genes. The two women are suddenly startled by a loud noise outside. Shepard, also awakened by the sound, comes over to investigate. While they look around the fort, a large bear-like creature approaches Shepard from behind and grabs her. With Shepard gone, Radek and Thorensen insist on heading back to the facility. Ventress, however, is determined to continue the journey to the lighthouse and find out what's causing the shimmer. Lena hints that she also wants to go back but argues they can escape the shimmer by following the coast until they reach the perimeter wall. She points out it took them 6 days to get to the fort, but it will only take 2 more days to reach the coast. In the interrogation room, Lomax accuses Lena of lying to her teammates because she wants to continue the journey to the lighthouse. He contends Lena didn't know whether it would be safe to move forward but decided as if she did. Lena argues it was Ventress who made the decision. Lomax, however, points out that Ventress was sick with cancer and had no intention of returning. As they head to the coast, they find Shepard's shoe on the ground and decide to search for her. Lena goes deep into the woods and comes across 2 deer moving in unison. As she continues the search, she sees Shepard's mangled body under a tree. The team decides to stay at an abandoned house as night falls. Out in the yard, they find plants shaped like human beings. Radek suggests the shimmer isn't just refracting light and radio signals but DNA as well. That night, Lena recalls her affair with Daniel when her husband was away. Lena fears her husband knows about the illicit relationship and tells Daniel it won't happen again. As the team sleeps, Thorensen discovers a picture of Kane in Lena's necklace and attacks her. Lena wakes up to find herself and her teammates tied to chairs. Realizing Lena had been lying to the team, Thorensen starts to doubt whether an animal killed Shepard. She recalls her theory that the previous mission's members either killed each other or were killed by something. She mentions seeing her fingerprints moving earlier, suggesting she might be going mad. As she threatens to cut Lena with a knife, they hear Shepard's voice outside the house. Thorensen runs outside as she hears Shepard repeatedly yelling for help. The next thing the team hears is the roar of a bear. The mutated bear, which has a skull face, finds its way into the room and walks toward the woman, still tied up. As the bear gets close, it starts imitating Shepard's voice. Wounded from the bear's attack, Thorensen returns and tries to kill the bear, but the animal tears her apart. Radek breaks free and shoots the bear dead. Ventress fears she won't make it to the lighthouse if they wait any longer, so she decides to go there alone. Lena finds Radek in the yard and tells her she found mutations in her blood. Radek concludes the mutations will soon be in everyone. She checks the roots and leaves growing in her arm and starts walking away from Lena. Lena tries to follow her, but Radek disappears into the garden with human-shaped plants. Now on her own, Lena reaches the lighthouse and the land surrounding it. There are large crystal trees and skeletal remains sprawled all over the sand. The lighthouse is covered in some kind of plant-like material. Lena enters and finds a charred skeleton sitting against the wall and a camera pointing at it. She watches the video and sees Kane sitting down as he holds a phosphorus grenade while talking to someone behind the camera. He is heard saying he has no idea if he is Kane or who he was this whole time, as his sense of reality appears to have been warped. He asks the person behind the camera to take care of Lena before he pulls the pin on the grenade and blows himself up. The person behind the camera walks into view and is revealed to be some kind of clone of Kane, the same one who made it back to Lena. Turning off the camera, Lena hears voices from a hole in the ground. She follows the sound and goes further into the lighthouse where she finds Ventress, whose face is twisting and contorting. She tells Lena that the shimmer is of alien origin and that it is preparing for annihilation. Ventress's body then dissolves into a bright form of light that morphs and distorts itself. It pulls in some blood off a cut on Lena's face before it creates a humanoid body for itself. Lena shoots the figure and tries to escape, but the entity mimics her every move. Lena then strikes it and it hits Lena back. She attempts to run out, but the entity grabs her and continues to mimic her until she gives up. She finds another phosphorus grenade and puts it in the entity's hand. She takes the pin out and leaves as it blows up. The entity starts to transform into Lena as it is consumed by fire. It walks around until the rest of the lighthouse goes up in flames, which leads to the trees outside collapsing, and the rest of the shimmer begins to disappear. We return to Lena in the facility as she finishes talking to Lomax. Lomax asks Lena if she discovered what the entity wanted. Lena says she doesn't know but asserts it wasn't trying to destroy anything. It was only mutating everything to create something new. He confirms that the shimmer is gone, but Lena still has no idea what happened to her. Lomax tells her that after the shimmer disappeared, Kane woke up hours later and was lucid. Lena goes to his room to talk to him. She asks him if he is Kane, and he says he doesn't know. He asks her if she is Lena, to which she does not respond. The two embrace, and we see both of their eyes start to glow and change colors as the movie closes. With that, the movie ends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time.